Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to my investment channel. Today I want to talk about why the shorts hate Tesla. Now, Tesla is one of the most shorted stocks on the stock market, and it has a long history with being shorted, and it's an incredibly volatile stock. And as a Tesla investor myself, I wanted to share what I think my take on the Tesla shorts are. And I'm going to give 6 reasons why I think the shorts hate Tesla. And at the end, I'm going to share how, as a Tesla investor, we can all kind of process this and analyze it. The first reason why I think the shorts hate Tesla is I think the shorts think that OEMs are going to be very difficult to disrupt. Meaning, in short, I think the shorts really respect the auto OEMs. Reminds me of an email I got recently from, it was kind of a spam email, but it said like someone PhD. And I think there's something about that where people are impressed by certain names, or people are impressed by past achievements. What college you went to, you know, how much money you have, etc. And I think in a similar way, the OEMs have achieved a lot, you know? I mean, we're talking about some OEMs selling 10 million cars a year. And this is an amazing thing, and achieving such a iconic brand status. And there's a respect that goes along with that. And it's partially respect that's due, but it also can cloud one's judgment in terms of maybe giving too much respect and not understanding the process of disruption. Mark Andreessen wrote this famous article called Software Eats the World, probably 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. The whole concept was software is such a powerful, I guess, force that it's going to disrupt every industry. And for the auto industry, I think it's very similar. Software is going to eat the auto industry. Autonomous cars, which basically is AI running the cars, is going to completely disrupt auto industries. I think factories that are run by software is going to disrupt the auto industry. And in many ways, I think Tesla is at the forefront of that. And Tesla understands how important software is. Now, I don't think there's a single other car company, established OEM, that understands software like a software company. And I think that's not just a huge disadvantage. I think that's actually could be a disadvantage that could be ultimately too difficult to overcome for these OEMs. Basically, software is difficult. And if you have done software, meaning if you run a software project, like a big software project, you'll understand how complex it is. I just think that people are underestimating basically the power of software and giving too much respect to the OEMs. The second reason why I think that shorts hate Tesla is I think the shorts hate like assumptions and the unknown. And I think for Tesla, a lot of the future of Tesla is unknown. It's based on assumptions. Like for Tesla to be successful, so this many people need to basically buy a Tesla in the future, right? It has to be this large auto company. And that's unknown actually, right? Technology, where it's headed is unknown. Autonomous driving is unknown, what's gonna happen. And what Tesla is gonna be like in 10 years is largely unknown, right? There's so many assumptions. And I think for a lot of shorts, that whole area of unknown is something that they're just not comfortable with. And they much rather lock into financials and current type of numbers, something more tangible. And I totally understand that. Some people's brains are more geared toward that. And for Tesla, they've been a target with their income statement and balance sheet in the past few years, several years, where shorts have been able to say, hey, look at this. This company is losing money. You know, this company, you know, is in terrible shape. Now, I think Tesla turned a corner in 2019, especially after the Q3 report where it turned a profit. But I think like there's still in the future a lot of unknowns. And I think as Tesla starts to turn profit after profit and starts to bring in significant net profit, that's going to start to change the entire story for shorts. But I'll talk about that later. Now, the third reason why shorts hate Tesla is I think the shorts just basically don't like Elon. Now, I think there's something about Elon that just rubs the shorts in the wrong direction. For whatever reason, the shorts don't trust him, they don't like him, and some really despise him. I mean, it's actually quite amazing to see the hate and the personal bile that people have for Elon. A lot of shorts think that Elon is showboating or over-promising, doesn't keep his promises, exaggerates, just tells people what they want to hear, etc. And they take that as, you know, Elon is a fraud or someone you can't trust. Now, take this in perspective. There are actually a lot of companies that fail. And there are a lot of companies that as the companies fail, the CEOs do promise certain things that don't come true. And so there is a precedent for kind of like untrustworthy CEOs being kind of a sign that a company might go down. And I think a lot of shorts are correlating those two things. And another big thing that I think factors into the shorts not liking Elon is basically the whole Solar City episode. Now, when Tesla bought Solar City, I was not a big fan of that transaction. I was vocal about that. A lot of shorts basically took that as, you know, Tesla bailing out Solar City. And I think that also played into it, where it just confirms a lot of the suspicions that the shorts had. Now, I understand kind of the whole shorts position, but I think for Elon, there's different angles to look at him. For a lot of times, his exaggerated timelines and promises, it's not necessarily they don't come true, they just come true a little bit late, you know, maybe a year or 2 or 3 years late. But if you take, for example, the Model 3, amazing car, right? It's sure it didn't hit the $35,000 price range, but A, there's inflation, A, it's a better car than people expected. It's an amazing car for under $40,000. It's something that no one thought was possible, you know, 5 years ago, and Elon was able to deliver that. And I think when you look at all this shorts and the kind of their doubt of all this stuff, I think they still haven't come to grips with the promises that Elon has kept, especially in terms of product and where Tesla's headed. Now, the fifth thing is, I think shorts see Tesla as a bubble, and they see Tesla investors as gullible. And I think that's easy to pick out. You know, you could go to any place where people are talking about Tesla or Tesla fans, and you can see that, hey, these guys are super gullible. They just love Elon to the point of, you know, they can't find any fault. And there's a lot to pick on regarding Tesla fans and Tesla investors. However, I think the shorts also have the same type of like emotional side, and the shorts can be as gullible as the Tesla longs. And both sides in a way are just hoping, you know, hoping for it to go up, hoping for it to go down. And there are exceptions now. There are people that actually have objectivity, that see kind of like more facts, that don't bring in their bias, you know? And I think that's the big thing. Both for shorts and longs, it's easy to bring in bias into the picture. And once you do that, it starts to cloud all of your thoughts and ideas. And the sixth reason that Tesla shorts hate, basically Tesla, is I think the shorts amplify their negativity regarding Tesla. Now on Twitter, there's a block list where for those who are vocally pro-Tesla, the shorts or community of them will basically collectively block that person. And there are, I don't know how many people, countless people on that list right now. An interesting idea as that sounds, what's ultimately counterproductive about the idea is it blocks out the voice of maybe some of the credible longs, like people objectively wanting to discuss and talk about things. Now, sure, 95% of the longs might just be kind of more gullible, emotional, you know, etc., biased longs, but there could be maybe 1% or something that actually could present some interesting points that the shorts don't have access to because they've blocked everyone, right? And I think that echo chamber, I think is something that the shorts have gotten themselves into, or some of them, and it amplifies the negativity. But on the same side, a lot of Tesla longs are in forums and groups that amplify this positivity, which again could be actually the same type of, you know, effect of bias. Regarding what's going to happen, how to process this, right? I think 2020 is going to be a breakout year for Tesla because of the Model Y ramp. If Tesla ramps up the Model Y to significant numbers, let's say 7,000 to 10,000 cars per week, Model Ys per week by the end of the year, Tesla will be ridiculously profitable. Now, I shared about this in another video called 5 Things That Tesla investors need to know about in 2020. But basically, the income or the gross profit that Tesla gets from the Model Y will basically will come straight through to net profit, because Model Y ramping is not going to add much, if at all any, expenses to Tesla's operating expenses. So whatever gross profit they achieve on the Model Y is going to just amplify or add to their net profits. And you're going to see potentially Tesla having some amazing net profits in 2020 and going into 2021. If that happens, basically you're going to see the S&P 500 inclusion next year, which is going to throw off a lot of people and shorts, and you're going to start to see more of a mass acceptance. Already people are starting to become bulls that were very skeptical. For example, like Jim Cramer of Mad Money. I mean, he might flip, you know, like back to be negative, but there's more and more people that are starting to see Tesla as like, hey, this car has a lot of potential. And I think a lot of it has to do with profitability. If Tesla can pull, you know, several quarters of profitability, get into S&P 500, you're going to start to see the whole story change. And as the whole story changes, then the shorts are going to be put in a very tough situation with their stakes in Tesla. How to process all this stuff. I think what's important is, you know, bias, whether it comes from positivity or negativity. I think that's the enemy here. As an investor, the key thing is objectivity, and to hold to the facts and to hold to kind of like thought apart from bias. Personally, I actually am very bothered by a lot of bias with Tesla longs. And I see a lot of emotionalism, a lot of fanboyism, and a lot of just people just cheerleading the stock on. And this is actually represented not just of Tesla, but if you go to any investment forum or any place where people are talking about stocks, usually you're going to see a lot of this. Like, even if you go to places you talk to fund managers, even hedge fund managers, right? There's a lot of hope and a lot of bias already coming into it. Now, I like to counter that with kind of divorcing bias, divorcing emotionalism, focusing on objectivity, and focusing on larger trends. Saying, hey, what's the two-decade trends that's going on that's affecting this industry, affecting this company? Looking at the numbers, like saying, hey, what's the growth rate? You know, what's happening? Looking at adoption, looking at consumer demand, saying, okay, how do people think about this company? Who's going to buy their product? What's the demand going to look like in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? And to calculate that out and actually see the progress each and every year, right? I think there's certain things like that that you could do as an investor to kind of like push back bias and to focus on objectivity. Now, investing is a tough game. You know, it takes immense amount of skills, and it takes an immense amount of experience and thought and knowledge in a variety of areas. And yeah, this is part of the reason why we have this channel. But anyways, I want you guys to also check out some of the other videos I just released on Tesla. It's like 5 things what every Tesla investor should know about Tesla in 2020. I talk about the Cybertruck that I test rode, my first impressions. I talk about why Tesla's, I think, is going to get into the S&P 500, and a few other videos. Check them out, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.